Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is November 17th, 2023. November 17th, which means next week's is the Thanksgiving, which means we get Black Friday sales, which means they're going to tell us how everybody buying from Amazon and Target and Walmart, and it's the greatest season of all time, and everybody's spending money that they don't have, and it's going to be great. And Papa Pal's going to be like, but I'm the Grinch who stole Christmas. You best recognize this is what I see. So, Bender, what do you see?
What do you mean? What do I see?
What do you see?
What do I see? I don't know. I feel like this is a trick question.
Yeah, you paranoid, man. You paranoid.
I mean, that's a pretty vague question.
Oh,
like,
man. Let's just
you
get
gotta,
into the stuff then.
I'm like, you got to give me a little warning. You can be like, what do you see? Well, right now I see 4 monitors. And yeah, no, I'm not moving that quick.
Super.
It's too early.
So apparently the Gap likes what's going on. They like what's going on with their cheap clothes. They really like it. They really like the Gap. They like it a lot. Walmart, they're like, oh, but wait. People may not have money, but Gap is like, they got money. And Walmart's like, well, maybe not. So there's that. We saw the BABA price action yesterday, which isn't very good. We had every CEO on the planet hanging out with the G, trying to, be friends with the G. So they don't wake up in the morning and the G decided to go ahead and knock a couple of billion off of their market cap just because. So we got that. AMAT. Apparently is not in a good position. They're being investigated for doing things that they shouldn't be doing, which is kind of interesting to me. Data this morning, quite curious. You had housing starts up, you had data, positive, you get the pop on the dollar, but this is going back to the overall equation of overall good news, which if they want to, pop the dollar, that's fine, but the dollar's home is still lower. No matter how they want to trade it, play it, try it, whatever, they can do what they want, but the dollar's home is lower, in my opinion. So with this being said, we got a little tiny pop on the VIX. Dow is really blitzing on fire to the upside. It's up about 100 coming into open. Dollar wild red is trying to work its way back to flat. We'll see. What I do see overall is a pretty, big consolidation that we've been doing in through here the past couple of days, which, if you were around yesterday, they drove me absolutely nuts. Knowing where, in my opinion, where the targets are above, we sat there, sloshed around and did everything we could to keep that from happening intraday until the last couple of minutes a day where we blitz up into the highs. So as we come into today, Bender, with flow being a little bit more bearish than we've seen, what's going to happen? We're going to squeeze another batch of bear going into the weekend, or are we going to sell back down? Bear gets a victory coming into the week, end of the week. I don't know. I really don't. I know Apple is extended. I know they would really like to have Apple over 190 at the close of this week. There's a lot of calls still hanging out there. We do have options expiration, which means, Brad, Chad, and Thad are going to be sitting there playing every line they can, trying to make sure that nobody gets paid. But we want to get paid. So let's see what we can come up with. Outside of that, we have a couple of Fed speakers. We have a little bit more data coming out that we should be aware of. But there's not a negative picture that could be painted right now as far as the market being like, wow, it's up a lot. Well, we went down a lot because of the Fed. I think it's just fair that we at least get back to all-time highs before people start hemming and hawing. There's no reason to wipe 3 years worth of market cap off of a lot of these stocks just because, especially if the narrative is changing, especially. So with this being said, Bender, chart us up, show us what you got, tell us what pretty pictures we should be aware of, what lines we should be aware of, and how we can make money in a foolproof way. You ready?
Wow.
Set, go.
Wow. Well, you put money in a savings account that earns 4.6% interest. That's pretty fail safe at the moment. Outside of that, here's a 4-hour chart on the ES, and you can see kind of this box. I'll extend it over to fill in this candle up here. We've kind of been tracking this, keeping an eye on it, and big stops sitting just above 45.66 or at 45.66. I think the question is, do they make this move today? Because above 45.66, as we've been talking about, this right here was taken, which was that 45, 45.94, 45.94.25. That had already been taken just by a tick or two, right? But this 45.90 area, you can see above 45.66, you can see stops, imagine there'll be stops sitting up here in the 45.90s. And then we have that high from August 4th. And then into that gap that's still sitting there, that regular trading hours gap from the 2nd. So, a move above here can get, there's a lot of stuff right here that, if they want to seek liquidity higher, that can cause this to move pretty quickly to the upside. Do they give it to us today? I don't know. As we were talking about yesterday, kind of late in the day, I would not be surprised. I know I think that 4,500 expiration and the 4510s, I think on SPX were kind of the biggest, had the biggest open interest, if I remember right. So maybe they try to protect that. Maybe they make this move, above 45.66. If they do, I would be looking for a reaction there. Potential for that poke above and then pull back. And there have obviously been expirations where, we know where that open interest sits, and we keep thinking, oh, it'll probably come back to that. It'll probably come back to that. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it just keeps going. Mm-hmm. But I would just be looking for a reaction there if it can clear that. I think, if nothing else, coming up into 45.53, probably sees some resistance. 53 to 55, kind of right in that area there, would probably act as resistance, at least on first attempt. Let's let's move into a 15-minute here. On the 15-minute, you can kind of see how these stops are hanging out here, right? These are areas where we had a little pullback, bounce, and then this didn't get taken. Same thing here. Up, pull back into this fair value gap that held. But then the next down candles didn't take that out. And then the same thing going on here on that last 15-minute candle, not taking any of this out. So kind of the same thing on a move down. You know, if they want to, they've left all this stuff open. If they want to make it painful, these are the areas that I would watch. If you get a move below 45.28.75, you can look for a reaction here, kind of see what the intent is. That low took place at 4:15 a.m. and down in here, 2 o'clock. And then this was last night. So this would be the first level to look for a reaction, 45.28.75. And then down into 45.23 half. I think it would be tough for me, you know, unless it gives you that just wick just slightly below and then fires from there, leaves a fair value gap behind to trade into. That could be a potential long setup. We had that wick high up here, 45.41.25. I'm going to throw a line there, 45.39 half. So if it does get that wick below, pull back up, leave a fair value gap behind to trade into. If the clocks line up, I may take a shot at that, aiming for 39 half and aiming to take this out, this 45.41.25. So those are, I think, the levels to look for a reaction. If you don't get a reaction here, see what it does at 23 half. Pay attention to that. And then kind of depending on what flow looks like, maybe it pulls back down into here, 45.20 area. Maybe the goal will be to pin it, pin SPX between 4,500 and 4,510. Don't know. Remains to be seen. Last thing I'll say is that these lines up here, these pink lines here, so you have 44.94 half at the bottom and 45.57 half at the top. If we get some sort of exaggerated move, this is 4 standard deviations of the central bank dealer range. More often than not, if it gets there, it doesn't go any further or much further. Like, normally it'll get there, maybe poke above, and then that's where it'll pull back. Same thing on the other side. So I would keep close watch on that. To the upside, that's what, 20, 25 or so, 44, 25 handles up from here. So if you get that bigger move early, pulls up into here, I would absolutely, at that 45.57 level, like, I'd be very careful at looking for anything higher when it hits that, if it hits that. And same thing down here. If you're shorting and you get that move that takes out, all this stuff, gives a peak below 4,500 into 44.94 half, that's where I'd be looking for. If you're short, like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's good. Unless Flo just says we're all going to die. I think that's about all I got.
Very nice. Stonkington, I forgot to mention, apparently you're going to be able to buy cars on the Amazon. They're doing a deal with a Hyundai after bailing out of a deal with the Rivian. Does that feel weird to you? It feels weird to me.
A Hyundai on the Amazon?
Wait, they bailed on the Rivian? stuff.
Well, they did something. They ended a partnership with Rivian, and then a couple of days later, they have a new partnership with Hyundai. I thought that was interesting. Just seems like you
That's
already had
interesting.
synergy with Rivian. Why would you Hyundai unless Rivian just can't scale? I don't know. I don't know. There's more to read into there, I'm sure, but I think you might be able to buy a Hyundai off of Amazon Prime soon, if I read it right.
Well, I have a Hyundai, and I was told when they tried to steal it, good job getting that instead of a Kia. So there you go. I don't know what that means, but let's jump into some other news here. My car getting stolen is not market moving news. Maybe we'll see. We've got a lot of other news going on coming into today. You mentioned Baba looking not so hot. Let's see. Amazon employees might not get promoted if you don't go back to the office enough. China's transition to EVs is moving fast, and Volkswagen can't keep up. They're second. Li Auto is going to join the Hang Seng indices effective December 4th. We've seen a lot of bullish flow on Li, LI, for January. That's been a thing for months now. Let's see. BJ's is getting removed from best ideas at Webush. Who doesn't like BJ's? That's weird. ChargePoint price target cut in half. AMAT is under a U.S. criminal anal probe for export law violations to China. Could be an interesting trade today. BlackBerry cybersecurity deal in Malaysia, and LLY is going to have a plant in Germany, 2.5 billion. And the Skanks of America is telling their clients to fade the S&P rally above 45.50. That's interesting. See if we've got any good downgrades. Restoration Hardware downgrade. ChargePoint downgrade. We mentioned that. A lot of downgrades on ChargePoint. That thing looks like it's heading to zero. ZIM shipper downgraded. Expedia got a little upgrade. And that looks like about it. So let's jump into some charts here. See what we got. Oh, yeah. All right. Still no smash. Or I guess no nut November over here. We're stuck. We closed in between. We didn't close above that high. We didn't close outside this range. Still got an
No
alert.
nut November. I dig it. It's pretty funny. Good one, Stonks.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, we're not currently smashing, but I still have this alert over here set if we were to break that low. Let's see, we're getting a little sell over here on the NASDAQ. Let's check that out. Actually, I think I have the markup here on the December contract. Pick the right contract. So we can start on the daily, which is where most of this markup is coming from. We've got this daily fair value gap trading up into, kind of been bouncing around in. Volume imbalance, we still haven't laid a candle over it, so I'm keeping that on the chart. And then we've got this gap below with the bullish or potential bearish order block now turned breaker down here. So if we get down, if we start pulling back, this is going to be where I'd be looking potential buy zone. Zooming in here, we've got a bunch of stops sitting below, a bunch of stops sitting above. So it's basically going to be, who do we need to take out first to send it? So I think, we've got, at least for right here, similar, we're going to want to see what they do as we pull back into this 15,880.75. See if that's just, let's stop out some bull, piss them off and go back up. And then if we go up, we're going to be watching this 15,919.75. We had a good trade based on this kind of mentality yesterday, where we just bought that little bull stop out level. That was pretty close to the open yesterday. That worked out well. So we'll see, just kind of basically the concept of max pain, stop people out before going the other way. So we'll see what we get. The Rusty Let's check this one out. Got to do the pat on the back. Gave us the essentially low of day yesterday. We called that one out based on this fair value gap. Was looking for this to work as an inversion gap, and was looking for this level. We talked about that. That happened to be the low yesterday. The bummer was just that we didn't get really much of a move until overnight. Rusty didn't do that much, but so I think we've also been talking about this level there, the 1780.6, and then we're stuck in this rising setup here. So I'm just going to kind of watch for flow. I think these could be still key levels below, and then now we've got a 4-hour gap that would fill right there at this 1786.2. So if we pull back a couple of different levels, I'm going to be keeping on watch, and then you can see we've got a double top, clean double top right up there at 1804.50. So could be still potential long over here on the Rusty. We've seen some calls continuing to come in on the IWM, so I'm going to keep an eye on that, see what we get, call the levels in the room. The other one I wanted to take a look at as we come into the day is going to be gold. So we've got a couple things we're trading up into here on gold. This could be a potential bearish order block. You can see we almost ran right up to the midpoint and stalled. We've got a key level that we're kind of sitting on right here, this 1989.2. You can see how many times we've reacted, and we're sitting just below. So if we're going to continue to the upside, I want to see us kind of get back over that. We talked about earlier this week, we had a left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We've broken that. And then now kind of looking like maybe we're working on this type of rising wedge type setup. So, just going to kind of trade the price action, trade the chart. We have the trade going on the NEM, which we popped the big 230% dark pool yesterday, and it's holding above as we come into the day. So I still like that trade, but for gold futures, I'm kind of going to be, this bear flag type of thing. Technically, we're still in an uptrend here, so not rushing into shorts. Just going to kind of let the price action dictate what we're looking for. So we'll see what we get over here on gold. The last one, talk through really quick, the daily inside bar on coin. So let's see, we've got kind of starting to look like this little bit of a rising wedge setup. We talked about earlier this week with the CPI pop. Coin did not really participate, and then it had its bullishness the next day. It was kind of like late to the party a little bit. So currently, daily inside bar, we're stuck in that range. I'm going to be watching above. We've got this 98.2, and then below we've got this 95.50, which looks like it's been important a few times. Resistance, 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 and now working as support. So the coin can be a good mover. So just going to kind of see what we get, see if we get any flow on it. I think that's about it over here.
Very nice, Stonkington. Very nice. What do you have on Apple there, Stonks?
Let's take a look. We had Apple on watch yesterday. We were watching this round number psych level here, up at 190. So that's still in play. I'm going to keep an eye on Apple. 190 round number is this green line, and you can see it's been important. That was kind of this big sell-off. We couldn't hold above it yesterday, so I'm going to be looking for above 190, pop and hold for upside on Apple, and then we've got a key dark pool below 180.1. They've
I concur.
And I think Stonkington just got booted or something.
Well, that's what he gets.
That's what he gets.
I
don't know what he did, but that's what he gets.
That's what he gets. All right, we got about 15 minutes until open. 15 minutes until open. Let's get comfortable. Let's just try to be cool. And really, I'm talking to myself when I say this. I don't need to get angry.
Be cool.
I don't need to get angry when they're not doing what I want them to do when I want them to do it.
Again, rarely are they going to do what you want and when you want.
Well, I beg to differ.
All right.
Anyways,
I think you need
15
more
minutes.
visits to the janitor's closet if that's what you're after.
That's what Stonk's for. That's what Stonk's for. He's a good
Send him
man.
to the janitor's
what?
closet.
Yeah, you're doing great, Stonk. Rock on, buddy. Rock on, buddy. You're doing
Good
great.
job.
I get booted
Doing
and then
great.
I come back and I'm the janitor.
Yeah. Just
No,
get
you're not the janitor.
No, you're
No,
definitely
well,
not
I
the
don't-
janitor.
Yeah.
I'm just in the closet.
You got promoted. How about that? You don't have to clean it up anymore. You just have to participate.
Hey,
there's
all
that.
right.
All right. Well, let's go get ready. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
in a few.